everyone, I'm Holly and I am the maker here at Missouri River Soap, and today I'm making Sunny Beaches soap. Now we love this batch of soap. It's so beautiful, but I will admit it's probably the single most stressful batch that I ever make. I've done a lot of planning, I've done a lot of scheming and thinking. The whole day I've been thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? And how can I improve upon the last batch? I have a video way back on the channel and I loved how that batch turned out. It was stressful by golly, but I loved it. The one I made last year had a little bit of issues that I didn't love it, and so here we go again. Cross your fingers and let's make Sunny Beaches soap. I had to heat up my oils just a bit, so I'm actually hoping I didn't overdo it. I have been working better in the 80 range, and that's what it is now, so here's hoping. Alright, so I've just added in the coconut milk, so I want to go ahead and blend that in. I'm not feeling good about this shaft. There's one of them I have issues with, and I can tell by the sound this one is it. Alright, let's try this one. Alright, well here's hoping I have the right one. Gonna add in the lye solution. And then I just want to bring this to emulsification because I'm going to be working with it once it's split. It's looking pretty good. So we'll go ahead and split these off, get their colors mixed in, and I'll be working with each layer after that. Each color separately after that. Not quite sure how much I need. I'm just gonna pour at 1 liter for now. A slightly different batch size. I'm actually doing 2 batches for this one soap. On up to about 1.5 liters. And then I'm going to have just a bit more. I may have to pour some out, but we'll see. The white is just kind of an accent swirl it about color. Alright, I think this is more than enough for what I'll be using for white. It's right at 1 liter. And so these are 1.5 liters. This is 1 liter. I'm going to add in some titanium dioxide. I've got enough mixed for both batches. Alright, we'll set that to the side, and then into this one is going to be my base layer, and I'm using Honey Blush from Nurture Soap Supplies. I will have a list below of the colorants that I have used today. This one is also Honey Blush, but it's reduced, and I'll add a little white into it most likely just to lighten it a bit, but we'll see. And then this one is, let me think, I believe this is the Sea Green from Nurture Soap. Hopefully I didn't mix it up. I don't think I did. I'm using so many colors today, and I separated them out based on what batch. That's beautiful. We'll be doing a lot more blending later on. set these to the side. All right, so into this one, we have the honey blush. And we're going to add in the fragrance oil. Now I usually use a Beaches by Bobbi Brown type. I have mixed this because I thought I had a full bottle and I did not. So we're mixing, and I do think it smells beautiful. I've mixed it with my salt flats, which is just a gorgeous. I forgot that it rises though. It blends out, but I did completely forget that was part of this soap. So the Beaches type really accelerates. And this is why I want to work with each layer separately. Did I not have? I did not. All right, so rising is when you add a fragrance and it quickly binds to the oil that surrounds it, you know, the soap. So we have to work to blend it back out. Now this isn't as thick as it would have been with just the straight Beaches by Bobbi Brown. So this is convenient, but I do need to make sure I can move on too. Yeah, looks like it's still gonna get thick quite quickly. So unfortunately, I don't have the right length of paper right now, so it is not setting in this mold like it's supposed to. Oh, look at that. Yep, we are ready. Okay, I think this is going to work great though. I know what to expect. So I just make the ridges back and forth. I think I want to get out a spoon. I like it to kind of be a smoother if I can. Okay, so this is the beach layer. Now the next one is going to be this honey blush with a little white. I think I have way too much white here, unfortunately, because I didn't need quite that much, but we'll see. All right, I have to be able to move quickly. So we're gonna put in the fragrance. Really blend it back out since it's gonna rise. Unfortunately, everything's vibrating on this table. And so part of why it accelerates is because I'm having to get it thinned out. And so now I want to put in some of this white, like so. It's going a little more frothy on this layer of when you're looking at the ocean and how it froths on the beach. Froth is probably not the appropriate word for this situation. All right, so I'm flooding it on. Oh, I think this is going to be great. I do have to switch out. I think I could add a smidgen more white down here in the bottom. Now I flipped back. So my inspiration for this batch came from an artist that I follow. And shoot, I cannot think of her name, but she does a lot of like really interesting beachy acrylic art. She's Anna something or other, I do believe. And one of my followers on Instagram told me about her years and years ago, and so I've been following her work, though I can't recall seeing anything as of late, so I'm gonna have to look to see what that's all about. But she does this great ocean art, and so I always love that frothy look. That's not the right word, is it? You'll have to correct me if I haven't put a note on the screen already. It's a warm, beautiful day here in Montana, and I've had the windows open, but because we're building, I had to close the windows so you don't hear a lot of extra noise and already getting hot. Alright, now for the green layer. As you can see, it's still in pretty good shape as is. So I just need to give it a little bit of a blend. I see some specks of mica. Now in with the fragrance. And so you can see the rising. I don't want to show you for too long. I need to get it blended. Alright, I think that's alright. I would say that this is working about the same, considering that I normally add a lot of extra water to this batch, but because I learned from the last batch that just caused too many titanium dioxide glycerin rivers, I decided I really wanted to try doing this without the excess water, and the salt flat fragrance is helping that situation. Otherwise, this would have been just a hot mess. Now, titanium dioxide already accelerates. So, whoa, I don't want that white to go in like that. So that is the main reason why I did not add any fragrance, to the white. I needed to break up that white. It was coming out too concentrated. So what I do is just kind of move it around, and then not every loaf or one side of the soap is just going to be all white, if that makes sense. Kind of be a mishmash. So what I'll have to do is take a break and clean up all these containers so that I can reuse them. But I should be able to get that done fairly quickly, and then I'll be able to just move on to this next portion, next half of the batch. Alright, so I'll go ahead and make my layer. Otherwise, I won't be able to do this shortly. And these layers are never the same. Even though it's the same general concept, I'm not doing it in the exact same spot. So, usually offsets just a little and looks really nice. Alright, so here we have the first half of this soap. It's looking very nice. Everything's going well so far. So I will clean up and meet you back here to start the second one. Okay, so let's get back to this thing. This one pot is a little bit warmer. It's 89 or so. It's a little warm to the touch. I'm fingers crossed, but this doesn't cause me any major issues. because I do need to just keep going. All right, in with the coconut milk again. All right, so we blend that in. And now for the light solution. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and stir it for a moment. Let's just see what it's doing. Looks good. Want quite as much of the white for this one, and so I will probably add more to the blue here at the end. I'm popping in with a couple of Mad Micas for this next color. It is a mixture of Key West blue and blue tide, and then I use a little bit more of the Key West blue in my next one, and then I added in a little bit of sky blue from Nurture Soap again. So this is the Mad Micas color. I usually have Siren Song, I think is what it's called, from, oh, I didn't mix up my color, or my fragrances, darn it. Not mix it up, but pour them out. Anyway, I usually have Siren Song from Nurture, but I did not have that this time. So here we have the nice blue that is just some blue, or a Key West from Mad Micas. Plus we've got some blue tide and no. So this is Key West with some sky blue. I'm pretty sure that's all that one is. And then this one is going to be Blue Vibrance from Nurture Soap. Has a little cashmere and a little bit of the blue tide again in with it. It is just a mishmash. I go with my heart on what colors I want. That's beautiful. So this is a little darker version of that sea green color that we had. Now we're pulling in a bit more of that blue, but still kind of turquoisey. And this one should just be more blue, but we'll see. Yes, this one is more blue, but it does still have a little bit of the green-esque oceany vibe to it. All right, we'll start by mixing the white. I'm not going to use as much because I didn't add in as much soap. Alright, so let's get this done. Fragrance. So we're going in with this little different green. Oh, that's perfect. That is perfect. I really didn't even need to flood it on because the bottom layer was well solidified already. Make our little waves here. This layer's playing a little bit nicer just because it was the first one. So it's not setting up too much on its own. All right. Now we're going to go in with this turquoisey color. Adding more white, a little less with each layer or thereabouts. All right, here we go again. I think my mini split has moved over to air conditioning. Starting to feel much better in here than it was. Okay, final layer. This color is so pretty. My mold is getting pretty full because I did increase my batch size just a little bit. So let's see, am I ready for this? I think this is what I'm doing. Alright, so now in with the white. It's getting pretty thick. That always works out fine because I don't want a lot of white here on the tippy top. And then I'm going to save just a little bit for the top of the soap. And so I'm just going to kind of move it about, but I want it mostly concentrated to the top layer, or the layer going on first anyway. Alright, here goes. Actually, I think I'm just going to pour this one on. That's so pretty. So far, this is turning out just perfect. We'll see what happens when I go to cut it. That's what I thought about my last batch too. And then, it was a pretty bar overall. It was me being particular, not getting the vision that I had hoped for. You know, my inspiration is my own batch that I have done well. But sometimes it's just hard to remember all the factors. Like, I didn't even remember that this batch rice, or that the fragrance rices. I'm gonna have my husband build some extension onto this mold, I do believe, because I like to cover them. It's getting a little hard to shift and shimmy. All right, that was getting a little wild. Popped out of the corner. All right, so overall, I don't really make the wavies on the top of this one. Just wanted to feel that it was in a rather level state. And so then I'm just going to take what's left of this white and just dollop it around, and then we're going to make waves, like ripply cresting waves on the top. Alright, hopefully I have gotten to this in enough time. I'm just going to spread the white around a little bit. And now I'm going to attempt, yes, still ready to make little wavy dollops. Not quite as floppy on the top as I would have liked them to be, but they're still working. Ooh, that was really good. Down and bring it back over. Oh, it's beautiful. This is such a great batch of soap. So fun. Okay, so this batch is looking really good. It's heavy, but it's beautiful. Do we love it? Oh, I gotta set it down. It's too heavy. Do we love it or what? It is so pretty. I love this batch so much. All right, it has gone well. It wasn't very stressful overall. Hopefully I haven't added too much water, and hopefully the titanium dioxide is not going to crackle and carry on, but we will just see what it looks like in a couple of days. I know I will be antsy to cut into it. It's time to cut the Sunny Beaches soap, and I think it turned out really pretty. It is nearly the moment of truth. We're going to see how it turned out inside. So far it looks great. I just have a little bit of ash in some places. This scent is amazing, and I know that it's not that straight up Beaches by Bobbi Brown type, but it is a wonderful mix, and I might like it more. I've had some feedback on Instagram from some of my customers that love the beach soap, and they said that it wasn't so much the scent but the design that they loved. So let's go ahead and get this unmolded. Forgot to get that little piece there. I'm a little nervous because I'm so excited about it right now, but what if it doesn't turn out? What if? This is such a hard, finicky batch for me. Ooh, well, I mean, it looks pretty on the edges, but that's not a good tell of how it's all going to be inside. How's it look over there? Does that look good over there? All right, let me get my splitter. I think I kind of lost grip on my camera the other day and created I think I'm in a different setting, and so I'm hoping this is all working out. I wasn't quite sure what I had before. That was doing all right. I have my splitter here. And it's just a single splitter, single wire splitter. All right, let's do this. Let's see what it looks like. Are you as nervous as I am? That is the question. Right here. I feel like I'm over a little bit too far. Oh, I see, my my mark has gone away from over here. That's too thin. Over just a smidgen more. I feel like it's off kilter. What is happening? Here goes. Oh, it was just a very slim cut. That's gonna make for weird samples. Oh, interesting. That white was rather intense, as it turns out. I think it's going to be pretty. We'll have to see what the cuts look like across the bars. All right. I will only be cutting one loaf because I want to take pictures. So I usually let it sit for another day or two before I try cleaning up the bars. Although this is a pretty solid batch of soap. I think this one turned out. Isn't it so pretty? I don't know if I mentioned it in the making video, but I actually added an extra color in. I probably mentioned it. But before, I did honey blush and then honey blush with the white. And then sea green with the Siren Song, which is what I was using back then. And then just the Siren Song. And then this time, I added in an extra layer in there so that there were actually 6 layers instead of 5. If I'm remembering that all correctly. That's what I had worked out in my brain anyway. I just adore these waves. Doesn't that look so nice? Like white capped waves. Oh man. I have some glycerin rivers I can see right in here. I'll show you over on this other camera. It's kind of hard to avoid in this particular soap. I could go ahead and I really should make this soap with like a white mica. That would probably make a lot more sense overall instead of mixing it with water. I just have to buy some. It's not something I tend to keep around nowadays. Most of the bars look great. Is this where the titanium dioxide collected? I actually think it's going to work out for this batch because we already have just that swirly swirl, and it gives the glycerin river, just gives it a little color. Now the glycerin rivers, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just where the soap has warmed up with the titanium dioxide in the presence of what this would consider extra water. And then the colors kind of start separating, but the glycerin is a wonderful thing. We like glycerin. Glycerin is what we want to retain in our soap. And so it's just like a little more concentrated in those places. So yeah, I definitely could have taken a little bit more off that other side, but that'll be fine. I'll make a nice chunky sample for somebody. So beautiful. I don't know if you can see this one behind me. This one here is coconut lime verbena, and I didn't end up filming it, and I wish I had, because this bottom color was so gorgeous, and then I swirled this top color because I had to completely go with a different design than what I was planning on, because it started ricing and accelerating, and so it was an interesting day of ricing and accelerating. But I think it's going to be beautiful. So I cut these at 2 inches, And then I have these nice little samples. This one's pretty thick, so I will probably end up cutting those again in half, just so that I have, I have a little bit more samples. Sometimes these thin ones here, they'll start curling and doing some weird things, and I don't always send them out when they're too thin like that and curling. All right, so let's cut one of these loaves. And I think I'll just go with this one here. It's closest. They all seem to be pretty similar. Some of the further inside loaves may have a little bit more of the glycerin rivers because it got warmer there. Now there's a little bit more inside than I was hoping for, but I think it still works out. Let's see. So here we have a bar of Sunny Beaches soap. So I am going to try to remember that the next time I make this, I'm going to get the mica for the white, because it doesn't need to be bright white like it is with the straight titanium dioxide. So I did reduce the water in the batch, but it was still mixed with water, and so that allowed it, because it was so concentrated in just that smaller amount, it actually had more water probably than the rest of the batch. So I still ended up with the rivers, but it's better than the last time, and I still love it. I am pleased as could be. I just think it adds to the overall look. And I have many customers that love glycerin rivers. It's like ideal. Oh, look at this, the top. That's so pretty. Now, because it was a different water content in the titanium dioxide part of the soap, and also because it didn't have fragrance oil, it's actually a little different texture. It's kind of raised up a little bit over the cuts. I will smooth those out when I go to plane the bars, but when the soap is in use, those might kind of cause like little veins that stick up and wear differently. Overall, it's not an issue at all. It just, sometimes that can just happen. Very nice. I did not want to add the fragrance to the titanium dioxide because I mixed the titanium dioxide to use in each of those sections, and so it held for me the whole time. But if I had added it in and it riced and I was gonna have to blend it more, which titanium dioxide does accelerate and thicken more than just the same batch without it, you know, the same amount of soap without titanium dioxide in it. So if I would have done that, I would have had to mix a little bit of soap with titanium dioxide each time, and I feel like that would have been just more of a pain than it's worth. I love these colors. Are these colors not spectacular though? So you can see the difference on the end cut where it didn't quite get as warm. Let me show you. So here we have a bar, and I'm hoping it's going to focus, but you're going to see the, you know, crackles and different color variations in the titanium dioxide, whereas it's not so prevalent right here because this was on the end and it just didn't get that warm. All right, so there you have it. We have the Sunny Beaches soap. I think it turned out great. I'm happy with this batch. Always room to tweak on the next one, and I will try to remember that next time. Be sure to check out the video description for links and more information. You can follow me along on social media, sign up for my email at moriversoap.com, and you can also shop my products at moriversoap.com. Thank you for watching. Bye.